Welcome to another episode of the Fan Zone podcast. Your home for all things Bolton Wanderers, up the Trotters, the Northwest's #1 podcast.
Good evening and welcome to another episode of the Fan Zone podcast. It is the preview, and I have just realised that I have not got the bloody overlay on, so let's just forget about that. There we go. That's nice, isn't it?
So much worse.
So yeah, this is episode 78 of the preview. It is, of course, the biggest derby game that's on at 12:30 tomorrow. Yeah, forget about the Scouser derby. It's Bolton bloody Wigan, isn't it? So I'm joined by the lovely Corey tonight. Corey, mate, how you doing?
I'm doing all right. Thanks for having me again. I think this is the third time I've done this now. Admittedly, I don't enjoy much of what comes out of this part of the world, but this is one of the few things that I do actually look forward to when it comes to Bolton.
Very kind, very kind. Good evening to everyone. Of course, we are sponsored by the wonderful B2B workwear and janitorial. Get down there, links in the description, links on our website for any of your workwear, PPE needs. They're the best in the business. Good evening, everyone. Ian in early as always, Jordan, David, Laura, Leslie, the usual. It's great to see everyone. David too. And SCG 1969, good evening. So yes, it is the big one. Bolton Wigan, it's the game we all dread from both sides. And there's over 25,000 was there tomorrow. I saw Mark Isles put a tweet out just listing our biggest crowds post Premier League, and it's going to be in the top 10. So yeah, interesting. You know, we all do against big crowds as well. I tallied up our record in them 10 games, and it was 2 wins, 5 draws, 3 losses. So big crowd doesn't always equal the best of results for the Whites. But yes, without any further ado, let's get straight into it. So season so far, obviously from the Wanderers side, it's been a bit good, a bit bad, and a lot of 1-1 draws in between. We've had our 5th one of the season already so far, which is more than we had last season and more than we had the season before put together. So yeah, how's it been on the Wigan end? From what I can see, he's been pretty good at home and pretty bad away. Is there much more to add to that?
Yeah, I'd say that's fair. I think the performances have probably been better than the results. I think we've turned an absolute corner since we got rid of Sean Malone, to be honest with you. Ryan Lowe has turned us around big time. Attacking football, as you lot will hate to hear, is well and truly back. We're so much better going forward than we were last season. Some of the players that we had in those forward areas, it was genuinely like how we came to your place and put 2 past your I'll never understand, because I genuinely don't think we put 3 in most games. I'm few and far between how many we put 2 in the back of the net, to be honest with you. And that was at a time where Dale Taylor had only just come into the team as well. So definitely more goals is what I would say in this Ryan Lowe team this year.
Yeah, well, there's mention number 1 of previous results. I'm sure we'll have a few more from Corey tonight.
Okay.
Yeah, it's been an interesting start for both teams. How do you think? Well, where would you pitch sort of Wigan's expectations for this season? Because, as you said last season, it was kind of meant to be the season of progression for Sean Malone. It didn't quite work out that way, and obviously Ryan Lowe came in and changed the philosophy a bit. So, where do you what's the kind of expectation for Wigan this season? Is there much expectation to push for promotion, or is it kind of see how you do?
The expectation is definitely higher than it was sort of from the midpoint last season, definitely, without a doubt. The expectation is to push higher up the table. Would I say playoffs is an expectation? No. Although now that I've seen us play and now that I've seen these signings sort of in action, I think it is a possibility. But it's one of those where you settle for anywhere between, I'd say, 8th and 10th, 11th, and it's a big step forward from last season. Again, like the performances are one thing, but making sure that you get the results is another. And if the performances are there compared to last season, that's definitely a big improvement for me.
Yeah, absolutely. You touched on signings. Then has been your transfer windows were pretty busy, and you've had a couple of good ones so far. I mean, Fraser Murray and Sadie in particular kind of have caught the hearts of the Wigan fans already, haven't they? Touch on your transfer window. How do you think it's gone?
Our transfer window for me couldn't have gone much better than it did. I think we entered that transfer window having, God, you could probably count on one hand how many players suited a Ryan Lowe system to a potential playoff standard. You've exited that window, and we've got 2 in each position, to be honest with you. So it's a massive shift. The shift from recruiting youngsters from Premier League teams to actually recruiting senior professionals who know what they're doing is huge. And yeah, the window for me, 10 out of 10. I mean, Fraser Murray, in my opinion, is one of, if not the best players in this division. And so to recruit that and to go and poach someone who had the most chances created in Scotland other than one Rangers and one Celtic player and bring them to League One is ridiculous. Christian Sadie, like you touched on, has been brilliant so far. He'll obviously miss this game, which is really annoying. But yeah, so far, you can't fault any of our recruitment, really.
Yeah, fair play. I mean, David's touched on it in the chat in a roundabout way. We will be playing a 10-man defence. I mean, it's, as I said before, it's been a big shift in style. How do you think Ryan Lowe's going to attack this game?
It'll be a 3-man defence, to be honest with you. I think there's been a massive shift, like you said. I mean, last season, from the minute Ryan Lowe came in, it was 3 centre halves and wingers at wing back, and so that'll be what I expect. That's what he's gone with this season. Joe Hungbo and Fraser Murray out wide have been 2 of our best performers. They are both wingers by trade. They are both very attacking players, and that's what I expect him to stick with.
Yeah, no, fair enough. And also, I mean, a big one from the transfer window kind of seems every window where you kind of expect another one of your young players to go. Sam Tickle is the one that has stayed again. I mean, it's been a big feature of Wigan over the last few years, and it's a big feature that I really wanted Bolton to improve on. I mean, your academy is just better than ours. Put your hands up and say that. But we finally produced a couple this season that have been in and around the squad. But yeah, as you say, it's been moving away from that kind of relying on your academy and relying on the Premier League academy loanees or freebies to moving away to, as you say, senior professionals that are there and ready to do the job now. Do you think that's kind of? Is that how it's going to be from now on, or is that because Ryan Lowe has wanted that himself, or do you think that's a shift within the club?
I think it's a combination of everything that you've just said, really. I think the club probably learnt from last season's mistakes. Look, Sean Maloney tactically pitted against Ryan Lowe doesn't have a patch on him, in my opinion. I love Maloney, but Ryan Lowe's just proven it time and time again that he can get promotions and that this system does work for him. But in terms of the recruitment, like you said, like they've probably learnt that they didn't really give Maloney much of a chance with those loanees that they brought in last year. They've probably learned over track record that, weirdly enough, our academy players seem to outperform the ones that we bring in from the Premier League for the most part. And so it'll be that as well. Obviously, Ryan Lowe, really early doors, set his stall out. He said, look, we don't want anywhere near as many loanees as last season. And I think if you compare the numbers, we have brought in a few loanees, but a lot of them are in the last years of the contracts at the parent clubs. And there's rumours out there that we're going to go and make those deals permanent. So I think it's a combination of Ryan Lowe. Sort of, you don't bring in Ryan Lowe to a League One side. You don't bring him down to League One if he hasn't been made assurances that he can get senior professionals in the positions that he requires. And so it's a combination of that and probably like just realising that, look, the Premier League youngsters, it's all well and good having the best team in the Premier League too, the best under-21s team, but realistically, if they come into the men's game, especially at this level, some of the pitches that you play on, they can just get bullied.
Yeah, it's a different level, isn't it? So it seems to be one every 10, one every 15 turns out to be ready for League One football, and at that point they're one of the best in division. I mean, we've seen it this season with Cozy Dewberry, who I'm sure we'll touch on later in a later segment. Is Yeah, I mean, he had his first season last season at Blackburn, struggled, didn't really get much game time, and maybe that year of adaptation has turned him into a player that's comfortable playing senior football like he is this year, and all of a sudden he looks the best player in the league, better than Fraser Murray. Yeah, so you touched on Ryan Lowe there. I mentioned his name a few times with quite a few smiles. What is the kind of consensus among the fans around Ryan Lowe?
Oh, we love him. Absolutely love him already. Like he's stolen our hearts already. There's not a bad word that can be said about him. Tactically, he's not put a foot wrong. Substitutions, not put a foot wrong. Recruitment, not put a foot wrong. I'm sure, obviously, there'll come times where he has a rocky patch, as they do with every manager. But so far, he's absolutely like from recruitment to tactics to connection between fans and players and board level. He's brought everything together. So yeah, not a bad word can be said about Lowe at the minute.
Yeah, fair enough. I mean, I would say probably about the same with Schumacher. I mean, it's funny, the parallels, obviously, good friends, aren't they, outside of tomorrow, definitely. Obviously worked together in the past, and Shu did get better of him last year, so we'll see how that goes. Anyway, let's jump into a bit of team talk. Let's go into the injury update. Yeah, so in terms of the Wanderers, it's kind of as you were. I mean, McAtee missed out last week with a knock, and he's been back in training this week, and Schumacher said he's all right, so I imagine he'll be back on the bench. Obviously, the two that we always mention, Will Forrester and Kyle Dempsey, it's been pretty good news about them. Forrester's been back into he's ramped up his rehab, in Schumacher's words. He's not back into full training yet, probably won't be in the squad, but good news about him. And Kyle Dempsey, there was no news yesterday or today, if I recall, but obviously he did that interview with Wanderers TV last week and looked very inspired and ready to come back. And he mentioned that he took a lot more time this time to rehab himself and get ready to get himself ready and fit instead of jumping straight back in. So it'd be good to see him. Good to see him come back into the team soon. But yeah, apart from that, and also obviously Mason Burstow was a bit of a scare a couple of weeks ago at Wimbledon when he came off, but he played 70, 80 minutes against Orient and looked all right. So yeah, I imagine apart from that, we're all good. How is it in the Wigan end?
Yeah, I'd imagine based off the last few weeks, we're pretty much business as usual. James Carragher obviously probably won't make the game. He's been injured for some sort of spell of time now. Jason Kerr was out of the team in our last game, but Ryan Lowe, I think, quietly expects him to be back in for tomorrow. That's about it really on injury front as far as we're aware of anyway. Yeah, we're pretty much, we had quite a bit of issues around pre-season, players sort of lacking match fitness and only just getting back from injuries, but since then we're pretty much back. Obviously the real issue for us is Christian Sadie's suspension.
Yeah, I was going to touch on that. I mean, it's been a really good signing for you so far, hasn't he? Been kind of, I mean, one I wouldn't mind in our team, to be fair, as a just a hold-up striker who has got a few goals in his game as well. How do you think you're going to line up with his absence? Obviously, you've got Paul Mullin waiting in the wings, haven't you? Do you reckon he'll come straight in?
Yep, I'd expect Mullin and Costello to probably be the front two from the get-go. Obviously, you'll have Asamoah on the bench there, who'll be chomping at the bit to get on. But yeah, I expect Paul Mullin to just come in as a light for light, really, for Christian Sadie.
Yeah, just on Asamoah, was it his debut he made against us or his second start, something like that, and he looked pretty tidy from what I can remember. As I've not heard much of him since. Has he played much since?
Yeah, so it was very early doors. Ryan Lowe had sort of identified. Obviously, we don't play wingers anymore. Asamoah was brought in as a left winger. He was moved up front, which he has done before, but he was moved up front for Ryan Lowe. He had a really good spell in that second half of the season. You are right. I don't think it was his debut, but it was one of his first early doors appearances against you guys. He scored a goal against, I believe, Rotherham. He had a really good run against Wrexham, but he had a good sort of spell in that second half of the season when we had Dale Taylor and Joe Hugel, who was sent back from loan, and we had no strikers basically. So Melissa Asamoah was shoehorned up there for the second half of the season under Ryan Lowe, and he did perform quite well. I think his final product is potentially what keeps him below the pecking order of Paul Mullin, Costello, Christian Sadie. But when you've got a player that is that quick, they're always an asset and they always sort of strike fear into defenders, especially at this level. So yeah, I'm sure he'll have a part to play potentially off the bench, but yeah, just below the pecking order probably.
Yeah, I must admit he was probably the standout player when we played you back in April. It was, wasn't it? I mean, yeah, it was quite. I remember watching that game, and I mean, we touched on it before. It was one of the worst games of football that I've watched in a long time. And I've just seen Jake Tongs in the chat, and he's going to love this. It was when I was in Bali. There's the Ben went travelling bell. He's going to set off now. Yeah, I remember I was in Bali, and it was a Tuesday night game, which was 3 a.m. where I was. And I remember staying up. Well, it was one of them. I didn't stay up for most of the games because we were on a pretty bad run at that point, and I thought, and it was, I just thought, what's the point? Anyway, there it is, right on cue, Jake. Yes, I did, mate. And I'll mention it every day since. Yeah, so I was there. I got to about 2:00, and I'd not gone to bed yet. I thought I may as well just stay up. So I stayed up and watched it, and then got to 90 minutes, and I'm there lying in bed thinking, what am I doing? I've wasted 5 hours of my life staying up for this. And then obviously Chris Farino pops in with a great header, but not header, the scrappiest goal you've ever seen as well.
Yeah.
But yeah, I remember thinking, watching you that day and thinking it's the least threatening you've been against us in a long, long time. But yeah, that was early days for Ryan Lowe. You've obviously improved since then, and you've become a lot more attacking, and your attacking enforcement seem a lot better. Let's have a look what our resident stat man thinks is going to happen.
Hello everybody, welcome back to Get Stats On with the Statman, and of course we are previewing the Wigan game on weekend. My God, is this going to be a big game? Yeah, I obviously don't need to say it's going to be a big game, but I have, so deal with it, alright? Anyway, they play usually a 3-5-2 formation with one midfielder sitting a bit deeper than the rest. Now that is bad news for yourselves because you have struggled playing against the back five this season, because you've struggled breaking teams down, sitting in a low block. Now, they're not, whether they sit in a low block or not is a different conversation. I imagine they will. But anyway, let's move it on, shall we? They've had a pretty decent start to the season. I'm sure I don't need to say that either, but they have. They beat Doncaster 3-0 last game, and they were pretty much top before that, so that is a mega result. They drew with Stockport, who of course beat you on the opening day. They only got beat 1-0 by Luton, and yeah, Luton aren't the best this season, but they're still championship quality, aren't they? So, you know, this could be an interesting encounter. Now, I can hear the cries of Statman, just tell us how they play. And all right, I will answer those. So, they don't really like to dominate possession. They don't like having the ball at the feet. They're much more fast-paced. It's all about energy, getting the ball forward as quick as you can. But that doesn't necessarily mean long balls, because they're not a big fan of long balls either. So yeah, it sort of tells me that as soon as they get the ball, they just get it forward as quickly as they can, usually through running or shorter passes, possibly to a wide man who then gets it running. So maybe you pick two defensive midfielders in this game, because if all they're going to do is get the ball and go, you want a bit more of a solid structure rather than just Simons on his own in the middle of the park. So I'm probably playing Simons and Big Heath. To be honest, I still can't say his name, and I probably won't be able to for his whole time at Bolton. But anyway, yeah, going forward, they are pretty dangerous, to say the least. They've registered the most expected goals in the entire division with 14.4. However, they have only scored the 5th most in the league. Now, maybe that tells you they're not as clinical as they could be. And here's another stat, just to back it up. They've missed the most big chances with 17. Now, that is obviously worrying signs for Wigan. Positive signs for yourself. However, it does say they do create a lot of chances. So you could easily have a bit of a spell of the game where you're under the cosh, which is obviously not ideal in a derby. Out the back, they're pretty good as well, to be honest. Sam Tickle, the Wigan goalkeeper, he's had Premier League interest in the past for good reason. He's made 2.9 saves per game, fourth most in the league for the teams. I imagine he's a bit higher individual stats, but anyway. They got very high interceptions and clearance numbers. So I can hear you saying, Statman, are we just going to get battered? And I'm here to say, no, not really. Because they're a bit inconsistent, shall we say. Lincoln scored from a corner and a penalty. Stockport scored from open play, but of course that won't be easy based off the stats I've just given you. So what I'm suggesting, I think you could outplay them with how you've been playing this season. However, I wouldn't even bother. I don't think it's worth it. What I'm doing is what you did at the start of the season for 2 or 3 games. 4-4-2 mid-block when you've not got the ball. Sit in, invite them on, because what does that leave? A load of space behind the central defence. Now, I could get this on the tactics board, but you're intelligent people. So I think you've got this. So yeah, if you play a bit of a mid-block, that is obviously going to leave a lot of space because they are going to push forward and push you back. So yeah, there's going to be a lot of space in their half, which means as soon as you get the ball, you could do what they did. Get the ball and get it forward as quick as you can. And here's another suggestion. I doubt it will happen, but you could even play Dolby and Burstow through the middle, or Dolby in force, or Burstow in force, whatever. Have one big man, and have one rapid man, and then when you win the ball, if you feel you can't play it out quick, get it long, big man wins the header, flicks it on, quick man is gone. Now, I'm sure that is very basic football. However, derbies are very rarely about the quality of football. Are they not? Maybe they're getting more so in this day and age. But you want to see flying tackles. You want to see a bit of passion. So it could just come down to who wants it more, to be honest. And who knows? I can't really give you anything else more than that. So I will leave it there. And I'll see you for the review show on a Sunday night, of course. See you very soon. Goodbye.
Brilliant as always. Cheers, Cal. Yeah, sounds like a pretty spot on analysis of how you lot play and how you think the game's going to go. Good point at the start of it where he said about the midfield too. It'd be interesting to see what Shuey goes for. Obviously, we've got quite a few options in there, all different styles. I'd like everyone to get in the chat their midfield too. David's jumped the gun already and said he agrees with Callum, with Simons and Arahan in midfield. I think I would go and agree. Arahan's a lot more solid out of possession. Simons is just great in all departments, really. I think he should be in a team. Be interesting to see what everyone else thinks. But yeah, while you're getting in the chat, let's get the mid-roll up for the new segment. It is the player swap. So yes, it's that time of the preview show where we steal someone else's players, and we've already stolen a couple of nearly Wigan players this summer, haven't we? I thought I'd slip that in with old Sam Dolby and Ethan Arahan and a couple of others maybe. But yes, Corey, who would you like to steal back?
Can I get something out in the air?
Go
if
on.
I steal a player, do you have to take the one that I'm binning off, or am I just adding here?
You just add. It doesn't matter who I take. Yeah.
Well, right, okay. I'm not going to be boring, and I'm not going to say Kuzi Dubry because let's be honest, our best player in our entire squad is our right winger. So what would be the point in that? Annoyingly, oh no, not Sam Dolby. I'll go Force probably because he's like, in my mind anyway, Marcus Force is. I assume, has he played much for you yet? I imagine probably not.
He's played 2 or 3 off the bench. Yeah, he's not really got that much of a chance, but yeah.
Yeah, I thought so, but he is championship quality. He's a fairly big striker. Like he could absolutely. We could be talking at the end of the season. He could have scored 25 goals. So I'll take Marcus Force.
Yeah, not a bad shout. I mean, I was surprised that we could sign him. To be honest, I thought he'd end up back. I mean, Borough started the season very well, and he's been out of the team for probably 18 months now. But yeah, I mean, say go back 2 years ago, and he was starting for Borough and scoring a few goals off the right anyway. Yeah, I was assuming he was going to get a sort of lower championship move, so I was surprised we were able to land him in League One. I mean, he was in League One 5-6 seasons ago now, with Wimbledon, and absolutely smashed it in half a season. Yeah. So yeah, I'm surprised he's dropped down. But yeah, as you say, he's not played too much so far, and you're probably playing us a good time with regards to him, because I think he'll be on the bench again and probably get half an hour tops. But yeah, we could be looking in January and January onwards, thinking, yeah, I don't know how we've got this guy in League One. Yeah, good shout. And obviously with Sadie out, you've got a spot open up front. Dan has gone in the chat and he's stole my pick. He's gone with Sam Tickle. Obviously, Callum mentioned Premier League interest. He's been one of the best goalkeepers in League One for a couple of seasons now. And as I mentioned before, I'm surprised he's still at the club. And Teddy Sharman-Lowe has been solid in all aspects apart from shot stopping this season, where he's been pretty suspect. I mean, there's been a stat flying about. I think we've conceded something like, Corey's rubbing his hands there. We've conceded something like 15 shots on target all season, and 8 or 9 of them have gone in. So it's not been the best of starts for Sharman-Lowe. But I did defend him a couple of weeks ago. I think a few of them have been kind of unsavable, but a few of them have been, especially the one later on last week was pretty poor goalkeeping. But he is one of the most comfortable goalkeepers I've seen with the ball at his feet in my life. It's like having a centre midfielder in there. But as we saw with Tickle, he's all right with the ball at his feet as well, and he pinged it through to Mullin with one of the best goalkeeper assists I've seen for a long, long time. So yeah, I think if we have Sam Tickle in there, we're a lot more of a complete team. So yes, we've had a few in the chat. David, 3.1 million Force was signed for a couple of seasons ago. Not too bad to have him in League One. David Jones has swapped Mullin for a steward. Yeah, you can have a steward if you want. Don't worry, Dan. Dan's apologised. It's all right. You jump the gun and get in there. Aimson to get sent off second yellow for being a sausage. Yeah, fair enough. Tickle, and I think that's all we've got. Yeah. So Sam Tickle for Marcus Force. I think that's not a bad trade, to be fair. I would take that right now. So let's get on to the dreaded part, the worst part of the preview. It's prediction time. Yeah, so it's a long time since we beat these lots at home. It's only about 6 months since we beat them in any stadium. When obviously, as I mentioned before, Farino got the last minute scrappy winner at the DW. But yeah, it's been a long time since we showed up and beat them at home. I think 11 years. I think it was 2014. When we still had Chung Yong Lee. Was on the score sheet, as well as Max Clayton, who remembers him. So yeah, get your predictions down in the chat. But I will pass over to Corey first. What do you think, mate?
Well, to be honest, you've given me a lot more confidence with the recent Sharman-Lowe debacle. I've seen Leslie there as well saying that he'll be tested and she'd be surprised if he plays. Which, I wasn't aware that he'd faced about 15 shots and conceded about 9 or 10. But you pair that with the fact that we're the most chance created in the league, and this could.
It's a bit worrying.
I'm not going to say it will, and I'll say my score prediction in a minute. But it could go as history repeats itself.
Oh God!
I won't go there though. I'm going to go. I'm going to go a solid 2-1 win. I think this could be one of the more close ones that we've had.
Yeah, that's fair enough. Jeanette has agreed with you in the chat. I've gone 2-1 Ticks. I'd imagine that's a Wigan fan with the Ticks spelling. Dan's gone for 1-1, obviously, because that's who we are now, Bolton Wanderers. Ian has gone 2-0 for the Whites. Davy's gone 1-0 for Reno. Oh, no. Prediction for tomorrow, 3-0. He's changed his mind halfway through chatting. 3-0, fair play, mate. Wolves has gone 3-1, I'm assuming. That's for the Whites. Jordan, 2-1 win, late Cozy Doobie winner. Yeah, he's done a couple of them this season, and he's pretty decent. Jake Tong, 3-2 Bolton. that'd be pretty good. Jake, you did mention before, he said actually, we had the 2 best teams he's seen Lincoln play this season. So pretty decent praise. He thinks it's going to be a pretty good game. As for my prediction, I always go into these games thinking it can't happen again. Surely, would you a win and would you a good performance? I mean, it sounds obvious, but the first goal is just absolutely huge for this season, especially. We seem to go 1-0 down pretty easily to teams. His first chance, as I mentioned with Sharman, though, he's not been the greatest shot stopping wise, and we've just been pretty unlucky with the goals we conceded. Mick McCarthy, I mean, exactly, Dan. Can't happen again. It can. Look, I think if we get the first goal, it will make things a lot easier. Obviously, sounds very simple, but I am going to go optimistic though, and I mean, I've been peddling the narrative that we've been really, really, really good this season, which I really think we have. We've averaged something like 18 shots per game and conceded about 6 per game, which is about 4 or 5 less in each department than any other team this season. So I feel like at some point it's going to click, and we're going to win 5 or 6 games in a row, because you can't keep them numbers up without, and just keep drawing 1-1 every week. So I think at some point it's going to come. I mean, it did come against Wimbledon last home game, kind of stuttered at Orient last week, but I'm going to go 2-1 in the other way. I'm going to go Bolton. 2-1 Bolton. Pretty conservative from either side there. I could have easily gone for, could have easily agreed with David and gone for 3-0. I think we're gonna get one back here. And with your history, you could, if you'd have walked in here and said, 4-0, I'd have gone, fair enough. Kelly's just dropped a 2-1 Bolton in there. Good shout that. And Leslie, we have the talent, but have we got the bottle? Yeah, absolutely. That's the big one, isn't it? And as Callum mentioned right at the end of his Statman video, you can analyze the game as much as you want, but sometimes it is just who wants it more on the day, and we will see. We'll leave you on that. It has been a pleasure, Corey, to have you on again. We'll have you again for the return fixture, obviously. Hopefully we're celebrating another win at that point. Yeah. Just give yourself a quick plug at the end. Why not?
Oh God, you've put me on the spot here. I won't waste time plugging the Latics equivalent of this, but the Latics Lowdown does exist. I imagine most of you won't care for that. Follow me on Twitter. I've got a music magazine now. I don't know what to say here. You've really put me on the spot. But,
anything you want, music magazine, lovely. Go for it. Yeah. But anyway, thanks for coming, mate. Always welcome on here. As you say, it's the one thing you like about Bolton, so we appreciate that. Thanks everyone for joining us on this Friday night pod. I didn't mention that at the start. Friday night pod. We don't do this very often. Cheers for giving up your Friday night for this. We had 105 people watching along. Appreciate every single one of you. As always, check out B2B Workwear, the best in the business for your janitorial PPE needs. And let's see. We'll see you on Sunday. I'll either be gleefully smiling or head in hand again. Let's hope it's the former. Come on, you Whites.
Up the 6. Come on.